One thing that I'm most proud of is being the daughter of a veteran, a spouse of a wounded warrior, and a military parent. It's tough. Being a military family is hard.
He was deployed to one of the most dangerous areas. He was attached to 82nd Airborne.
My company lost 11 soldiers that deployment, all killed in action, and I had my hands on a great deal of them.
My husband was injured from an IED explosion that shattered his lower back, and he was having left leg pain. He could barely walk.
Didn't exactly know how the war had affected me, but it definitely had.
The man that came home was not the man I married.
I was overly emotional to any kind of conflict, any kind of corrective criticism. I took it completely to a whole new level, and anybody was a target. It didn't matter if it was the grocery attendant, my son's school teacher, my wife, even my son.
He was just shut off from the world, no empathy, no sympathy for my son and I, wasn't involved, didn't talk to me for days.
I was super paranoid, constantly checking the locks of the doors, the windows, calling the police for people that I thought were trying to harm me or my family.
My son was full of fear. My son was having nightmares. My son wasn't sleeping. My son would run and hide when we would argue and scream.
It's the aftermath, the reintegration period, that's the hardest. And that doesn't end a year later. Sometimes it's ongoing forever.
Renee had had enough of the threats, of the crazy living situation that we had. It was definitely affecting our son and definitely affecting our relationship. And so she left, and I stayed in Tacoma, Washington, and I filed for divorce.
After my family stabilized through our experiences, I felt this incredible need to help other families to cope with the same struggles that they're going through. And that's kind of how we started Camp C.O.P.E.
I got on this website and I looked up Operation We Are Here, and then I found Camp C.O.P.E. and it stated that this was a camp where kids served too.
They are in a group at camp with kids their own age that understand what it's like to have a parent that has been gone, to have a parent that is struggling with PTSD, or have a parent that has missed their birthdays, missed their preschool graduation, missed their prom.
And I thought, wow, this is a free weekend, and it's at Mo Ranch. I knew where Mo Ranch was. It was in Kerrville, Texas. It's in the Hill Country area. So in my mind, I think, free, we're going. I'll never forget, we went to breakfast at the dining hall that Saturday morning. He didn't want to go in. He had his head down, and I said, what's wrong, Austin?
When I walked one step in there, everybody was staring at me.
He said, Mom, I'm scared. I want my dad here. I bet all the other kids have their dads here.
Went to that camp thing after that. I felt better because I got to get some new friends and have fun.
Chance to get away from the everyday norm.
Yeah.
And he said, Mom, there is kids like me. There's dads that have been to Iraq, and they're hurting too.
They wear their t-shirt all weekend, and they wear it with pride, knowing that kids serve too.
The blinders just came off, and I learned about all these, your family dynamics and how you react like your mother and your father, and a lot of learned behavior. And I learned, they hit on the main points of post-traumatic stress disorder, TBI, how people react and shouldn't react.
We also do a really neat activity with the flower pot. The therapist wraps the flower pot in a towel, and they break it with a hammer.
I learned why my dad went to the war, and I learned why me and my mom went here.
Helps the kids understand what it is to be military kids.
We teach kids that their family is still intact, and this flower pot, although it doesn't look like the flower pot that once was, it's still a very functioning flower pot, and their family's still very functioning after.
It's one thing to know there are other military families going through the same thing. It's another thing to see it.
It's not very often that people appreciate what the children have to go through, and I just think it's wonderful.
You know, it's hard, kids out there, not knowing how to step up. You're a young man, having to play that role. So don't be hard on yourself. If you have your parents still, appreciate that every day, no matter if they're grounded or whatever. Just respect everything you have.
When I went to camp, I learned that kids serve too.
Camp C.O.P.E stands for the courage to accept your changes, optimism that it will get better, patience that it will take time, and E for encouragement. That you need encouragement, you also need to give it.
Talking with her over the phone, I could tell that she was different.
I stopped reacting to my husband, who would call and make threats and want to see my son, and finally I said, okay, you can see him.
They walk away with an entire bag filled with tangible tools that they can take home with them.
I brought my worry dolls, and sometimes I told them my worries, and I put them under my pillow.
A good, positive way for the kids to learn how to express themselves.
He was looking people in the eye, and he was talking to people, and he was just a joy to be around. And that overly emotional response that his dad had around, anybody and everybody was no longer a part of his personality.
I saw that my husband was in a lot of pain, and he said, I want what you have.
To be around, other veterans, other active duty soldiers, their families in small groups, and talking about, things that we struggle with and ways to cope and ways to solve those problems, it was incredible.
They didn't have arguments or disagreements anymore. I didn't have to do anything by myself anymore.
Because of that weekend, we reconciled, and we went to the attorneys and we told them we didn't want to get a divorce. And that is absolutely priceless.
One thing that makes Camp C.O.P.E stand apart is that we're therapists. We have the training to help families deal with the struggles that they're going through in military life.
Camp C.O.P.E changed me, and it saved my family, it saved my marriage.
We have a daddy who's deployed, will be home in about 3.5 weeks, and it's just a nice break to relax before he comes home.
Military families give up so much already. It's important that we provide camps to them at no cost.
To thank you guys for letting us come. I'm so happy.
Camp C.O.P.E is an outstanding place where soldiers, families, active duty veterans can get tools that they need to better themselves, repair a marriage, repair a relationship, be a better parent, be a better child, be a better soldier. You could be a better civilian.
It means fun, family, and a really good time.
Serenity and just taking a break from the crazy life that is, and just letting it all kind of float away.
Fun.
Fun? Reuniting.
Camp C.O.P.E to us means togetherness, family, bonding time, and the kids getting to enjoy a whole weekend without any worries in the world.
It means awesomeness.
Hey, great program. Those of you who participated in it, you're awesome.
It's just so much bonding going on in our family when we come here, and it's just so peaceful.
Camp C.O.P.E means family fun, coming together, and the family serving as one unit.
I could barely go to bed because I was so excited.
What we're doing is reaching these kids and helping them cope.
We've been so fortunate to have the support of private and corporate sponsorship that we've had so far, but we have a long way to go.
We can only do it with your support. Thank you.